You know, technically, everyone was considered an Avenger in Endgame since they all assembled for Captain America. Don't worry, I promise this isn't going to be a massive list with tiny lessons. I'm only going over the heroes who trained in the Avengers compound or were offered a spot on the team, in the case of one special entry. Ooh, wait, what am I doing? Oh yeah, this is Tony Stark's video. Something Iron Man forever, something I love you 3000. There, now we can officially make it all about him. In the first Avengers movie, Cap says this to Tony.
You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play.
And we all know how that turns out. The two alphas of the group butt heads and struggle to find chemistry, hence the whole Civil War thing. Despite the constant conflict, Tony learns a lot from Steve Rogers. The never say never demeanor that Steve exhibits rubs off on Iron Man, and it's what nags him when he tries to avoid looking into time travel. If the chance is there, Tony takes it, and he knows how to back it up now. Essentially, Captain America shows Tony what attributes it takes to be the Avengers leader and makes the sacrifices you need to protect everyone. Look at Tony in the first Avengers. He grows as a leader from that point on. Stark teaches Banner a lot more about being Hulk than Banner teaches Tony directly. Their dialogue tends to lean towards helping Bruce. Fans, myself included, argue that Professor Hulk happens thanks to Iron Man telling him to embrace the big guy. Dr. Banner matches Stark in intelligence most of the time, and you can see that Tony respects him the most of anyone in the group. The Hulk side of Banner humbles Iron Man. It's a lesson simple enough for Tony to remember. He's not always the strongest, most intelligent guy in the room. But there's also the fact that Banner sits and listens to Tony vent about his dramas. For a short amount of time, Bruce is the person that Tony can lean into for venting. Clinton Francis Barton, aka Hawkeye, feels like a side piece in almost every film. He doesn't get a lot of one-on-one time with any Avenger outside of Natasha. Part of that is his own trust levels, but still, don't dismiss him and his value to Tony. The most impactful moment in Hawkeye's screen time is the moment that we see him reveal his family home to the Avengers. Now, look at Stark's home in Endgame. It feels like he took some notes from Barton and that Hawkeye gave him the blueprint to copy down for his own chance to settle down. Natasha Romanoff is the first Avenger Tony ever meets all the way back in Iron Man 2. Nick Fury leads the charge to get Tony off his self-destructive path and confront his lingering father issues. And Black Widow is there for those talks. She understands Tony as a person. You can see how she keeps him on task when he gets on his tangents. She initially stands on Tony's side and respects his logical argument. Being able to compartmentalize the tasks and remember the mission is an essential trait that Natasha gives Tony. In a more twisted way, Black Widow reminds Tony not to trust everyone because she does disguise her intentions from him multiple times. Just saying. Colonel Rhodes has been around for so long that he's been played by two different actors. Rhodes is a conflict for Tony that doesn't go away until Civil War, when Tony finally gets on the same page as him. Did anybody notice that Colonel Rhodes makes Tony's responsibility argument from Civil War all the way back in Iron Man 2? Yeah, it's more like Stark joins Rhodey's side rather than the other way around. More importantly, when War Machine goes down at the end of the airport fight, it shows the tangible losses of this fight. Rhodey trusts Tony to protect him and lead him down the right path. That moment shows Iron Man that he's responsible for the team around him, and that people can get hurt following him. Okay, this is weird. You can look at Vision as Stark's creation. He crafted Ultron, and Ultron commissioned Vision, then Stark reprogrammed Vision. So, in a way, Vision is Stark's version of Frankenstein's monster. Like Mary Shelley's classic novella, there's a lot to learn from the creation. Vision is the pure representation of Iron Man's ideals. He was intended to be a suit of armor around the world, yet he becomes something entirely different. Vision shows Tony that pure good can come from his intentions. Granted, Vision isn't precisely what he and Banner intended, but the lesson is clear. I'd also argue that Stark gets the idea of nanotech from working on Vision. I'm on an island with that theory, but can you let me know if I'm not alone in the comments below? Yeah, that'd be great. Everything's coming up Wanda right now as she fills the void of Marvel content we've been desperate to get for months. Her life story is intertwined with Tony's past. The fact she exists partly due to Stark's sins is a reminder of his tarnished legacy. Other than that, there aren't many conversations these two have throughout the first three phases. Obviously, Scarlet Witch is the one who manifests Tony's vision through her magic. She's the one who helps illustrate to him what his real fear is. What's more, the decision to lock her up in Civil War comes back to bite him. I feel like, for Iron Man, it's a lesson in treating all superheroes as people and not weapons. He needed to be there for Wanda at that moment, not shut her off from people. Watching Tony troll Thor will never get old. Obviously, Tony finds this member of the Big Three to be a fun punchline and not necessarily a huge threat. That's the surface level relationship, but Thor represents a massive learning moment for Stark. Iron Man's first interaction with Loki and Thor is to jump right in against them. Despite this brave action, Tony learns about powers beyond his contemporary belief system. Thor represents the first proof to him that there are cosmic forces he needs to match up with now. It's a hard pill for him to swallow. There are things past to Earth that Stark has no idea about, and he's forced to reconcile that fact. Conversely, the fact Stark fights Thor and survives. That insight proves to him that Earth's mightiest heroes are capable of defending their home if they prepare properly. Alright, there are a lot of existentialism type lessons on this list, and I know that can get controversial and odd. Let's keep things simple for this entry, just the way Falcon likes it, right? These two barely talk, and Sam Wilson's strict loyalty to Captain America makes any relationship between him and Stark doubtful from the beginning. Falcon's the fly that Tony can't seem to swat in Civil War. There's something else that's fascinating. Tony refuses to provide his tech to the military in Iron Man 2. He thinks of himself as the only person that can be trusted with his suit. Falcon's military tech shows that there are ways to fly outside the Iron Man model. Some morally good people can be charged with weapons like this. Falcon teaches Tony that there are more people than just Rhodes in the military that he can trust.
I don't feel so good.
I'm not crying, you're crying. It's still hard to discuss the Iron Man-Spider-Man relationship that the MCU built over just a few movies. Stark recruits Peter to be his mentee, and the connection immediately works on so many levels. I like to think of Peter Parker as a trial run for Tony's parenting before having Morgan. Spider-Man is Stark's final lesson. On a sadder note, Peter is the first person Stark loses that shows him how to grieve appropriately. You can see him holding on to the memory of Peter in a healthy way. You might feel differently, but I see Stark processing his pupil's loss without letting it dominate his life. He did not move on from his parents' death in a healthy way. With Peter, he did, and he didn't sacrifice what he had just to get him back. That is called growth. Wait, so by my own logic, is Captain Marvel also an Avenger, since she inspired the group and all that? I mean, there's a lot of gray areas here, but I'm gonna cut the list off at 10, or we're gonna be here all day. Not that I mind that. You've just got more ScreenRant videos to catch, and I'll let you get to that. See ya.